Hey guys, let's speak about settings today. Which settings are important, why they are important, and how they can help you to win the game. First of all, I want to introduce you to hotkeys. Firstly, let's speak about the smart cast. What's the difference between smart cast, how it's called in settings, quick cast, between the regular cast? When you cast the regular spell, you can see the indicator with the distance when the spell will end. So you can kind of calculate what will be the end of destination of your spell. With Smartcast, you won't be able to see the actual indicator. However, it can save you a couple of seconds, which can win you the game. Actually, not a couple of seconds, like a second, but still the second can be crucial one when it comes to real team fight, because team fight can be decided in this actual second you've been waiting to cast the spell. Secondly, let's go with the self-cast. Whenever you're looking at the other part of the map and losing the control of your champion, let's say you're watching top lane, and the team fight starts like you're getting caught. Like obviously that's a mistake, let's don't talk about that. Let's speak about how you can play around it. The best scenario, in my case, when I'm playing this under, is to just ult myself and think of repositioning myself. So let's say I'm in this scenario, and the only way how I can get out is flashing away in this direction. So what I do now, let's say I'm watching top, in this scenario I'm using Alt 4, and here I'm trying to reposition myself immediately. That's like the only way how I can survive. This one is super important to be used, because it literally saves your life. The main difference with regular spell users, because when you're using regular spell, you need to set your cursor on your champion or enemy champion, so you don't need to play with the cursor at all this way. Finishing with the hotkeys, I want to touch the topic of leveling up spells with the hotkeys. It's very important to have this habit to level up spells with the hotkeys, because when I started playing the game, I had this issue of leveling spells with mouse, just like that, you know, like just clicking that, and honestly, that's too slow, guys. Like, that's very slow. In a real game, when teamfight happens, or you're just laning, let's say you're a regular top laner, right? You're fighting 1v1, you're level 5, you're about to hit level 6, and enemy champion, enemy laner is level 5 as well. He's about to hit level 6. The one who's getting level 6 faster, the one who is leveling ulti faster, is usually the one who's winning the fight. That's why it's very important to learn to level your spells with hotkeys. And it works exactly the same way with every single level in the game. Like, when you're getting level 2, you have 2 spells against 1 spell on enemy champion. Hitting level 3, you will have 3 spells. When you're hitting level 4, one of your spells will be stronger than enemy spells. That's why it's very essential to have this habit, simply because these extra 50, 60, 70 or whatever amount of damage or healing or shielding can win a fight for you. And later on, it can lead to getting even a bigger advantage. Speaking about player movement setting, those are pretty much the basic ones you have once you have the game installed. However, that's one I want you guys to pay attention to: move, pad, click. This is very important to understand how this mechanic works, because whenever you will play champions like Ivern or any, that will be very important for you to manipulate your pad. So in order to manipulate your pad, hold your Alt and start pressing mouse button too, so basically right click. So when you use it, your T-Burst or Ivern or whatever pet you got will move exactly the way you want them to. That's very important, make sure to use it. Moving to camera control part, I would say those F buttons are really important for champions who have global spells like GP, Ashe, Karthus, whoever have any type of global pressure. You can check the state of the lane, if the lane is pushing, if your laner is fighting the rival on the lane, if there is an actual need to ult, not just ult by judging from the minimap, but if there is a need to ult right now or any soon, if there is a chance that enemy jungler is about to gank your laner now, and you can just prevent it from happening or outplay enemy jungler by adding some global pressure. Another thing I want to point out, that some coaches are usually suggesting checking the lane state, let's say when you're taking camp as jungler with F buttons, and I would say this is a very bad suggestion. Like, this is a very bad thing to use, because usually when you're taking a camp, you need to focus the best you can in order to use your spells immediately when they are up to maximize your clear speed. And while you're moving, let's say you're moving from wolves to raptor speed, that's good thing to use now. well, you're not doing anything. In display settings, there is not too much you need to set. I would say the only important setting is like Ctrl F to see your actual FPS and ping during the game, to make sure you're not lagging and your FPS is not dropping. So yeah, just set this one. I don't think any of those are necessary for you. Communication settings are essential ones because that's the way how you interact with your allies without actual chatting with them. I would say you don't really need to set any specific hotkeys for individual pings. However, setting the wheel working that way as you need to interact with your allies is very important. So as you can see, I don't have anything set for my individual pings because I don't want to overload my hotkeys, my kit. Like, I want to think about only necessary things I need in the game. By pressing V, I can select whatever ping I need in the game, like if I need to hold at this place, like if I need to bait someone, if I need to push or team fight. Pings are very important. Like, if you are not too talkative on the chat, this is probably the best way you can communicate with your allies, and that's very essential to have set. Another part of communication hotkeys are tones, dances, jokes, but I don't think this is a must for you to have it set, because this is basically a way of joking, trolling or kidding with your allies and enemies, but this is not something that somehow impacts your gameplay experience, I must say. Speaking about menus, honestly, I've never seen someone using show scoreboard as a toggle. Whenever someone needs to see a scoreboard, they always use tab to see the scoreboard. Like, no one toggles it. This is just useless settings. At the same time, it's really important to have show advanced player stats set, because this way you can track your magic penetration, actual lethality, tenacity, like those stats that are important to understand, because they can make your champion dealing true damage, or to understand how long you will be CC'd with the amount of tenacity you got now. Like, pressing C will show you magic penetration, as I said, lethality, tenacity, attack range. It's actually a very helpful type of information, and you better use it. Speaking of the video settings, there are 3 things you need to care about. First is window mode, full screen, windowed, and borderless. Borderless is basically is a mix of full screen and windowed combined. I use borderless because that's the most comfy mode for me to alt up during the game when I need to. Another thing is colorblind mode, because colorblind helps you to understand where some spells are. I know it sounds quite stupid, but sometimes people just cannot see some spells. For example, Needly Spear, Singe's Poison Trail, Rumble's Equalizer. With colorblind mode, it will be highlighted with the bright blue color, and it helps you to recognize if there is any threat next to you or you're safe. I would say if you have issues identifying if there is something dangerous next to you and you just don't see that, colorblind mode is something that is a must for you. And the last one in the video setting is frame rate cap. This one is one of the most important settings in the game because it helps you to see the game in a much more smooth way. So let's say you're playing on 144 monitor. The best way to just set it to 144. In my case, I'm playing on 240 because I have 240 monitor. As simple as that. However, my PC doesn't support that, but that's kind of an issue, right? The way how you can understand the difference between 60 FPS, 140 and 240 is just playing on those monitors that are 144 and 240, and after that back into the low frame rate monitors like 60 FPS monitors. After that you will clearly see the difference, and everything will just feel laggy for you. As you can see, accessibility I have on the very default. I didn't touch anything there, and honestly I don't think you guys need to do that because I've tried playing with these colors, and honestly if you're playing with gamma, for example, the quality of the screen changes drastically. Like, I don't really want to change anything because I feel like the default is just fine. Sound. Personally, I don't have any music because I prefer to have announcer volume at decent level, so I can hear in-game sounds, to hear like Karthus ulti, if I'm watching something else than my champion, right? Like Jinx ulti, Ezreal ulti. Honestly, this one is very important. Like, it helps you a lot. It's quite important to have it. So that's why I'm not a big fan of listening the music too loud in the game, because like playing the game without the sound is completely different experience, and it's a bad one to me. Let's go to the interface. I have my HUD minimized because I don't really care about items, about the skills size. Like, I know them well, so I don't really need them bigger. Cursor scale is pretty much default, shop scale is kinda default. Chat scale, I can play with 25, I can play with minimal size. I don't really care about chat because I have both chats disabled. Like, I don't need any chat because I'm not a big fan of chatting anymore. Minimap scale. If you guys have issues with minimap scale and actual attention to the minimap, make sure to increase the size. I remember when I was starting to play, I had issues with minimap awareness, and I have had my minimap set to 100. Back to the days, 100 had the size of 33 nowadays, so this size currently is the most optimal size for me. However, if you guys have issues with minimap awareness, please make sure to increase it to 100. This one is very important. Like, using the minimap is like 40% of your success in the game. Death recap scale and practice tool scale are kinda whatever, because we don't really have any use of those in the game. Health bars, obviously very important. Like, if you don't see it, it's kinda a disaster. Those ones are kinda cosmetics, but I would say you benefit from having them. Show names above health bar. Here, as you can see, I have my summoner name enabled. You can switch to none, you won't lose anything. You can switch to champion name. This is a matter of preference. Like, I had summoner name when I started playing League, but I mean, it's a matter of preference. Champion highlight on camera center. This one is kind of important because it helps you to have your champion as a main focus point. This one is very important to me because I started playing League long ago, so I was a big fan of old interface, so I'm not switching to the new one. Like, new one is that one, and old one that one. Like, I remember when I was forced to play with new cursor, and it was a disaster to me. I played like for a week with new cursor, and I couldn't get used to it. Like, old cursor is just much more comfy for me. I don't think you guys need tooltips. It will just overload your interface. You guys don't need it. Ability and attack display. Those ones are really important. Attack range, spell costs. The more information you can get about the game, the better it is. We don't want to overload our interface, as I said. We don't want to overload our HUD. So this is kind of helpful. Spell recommendation is helpful for new players, but I just have it activated from the moment when the setting was added to the game. Ability cooldown display. This one is good if you guys want to time summoners. When I'm tryharding, I'm usually trying to time summoners. However, if you don't really try hard, it's whatever. It's a matter of preference. Why I speak about tryharding when I speak about this setting? Because I'm usually trying to time summoners. So let's say enemy support flash at 30:05, right? We can type in LA chat like 35:05 sub flash, like this way, and just copy paste it, so we can make use of it. We can try to force a team fight, catching enemy support, forcing a fight, and he cannot reposition himself. He cannot get back, he cannot disengage, so that's the place where teamfight starts. And you're the one who is forcing. Usually the one who is forcing teamfight, that's the one who is winning, usually. Minimap on left is a big disaster to me. Like, I'm too used to the way when it's on the right side. I can't really see it on the left side. I feel myself confused when I have it on that side. But yeah, I mean, that's a matter of preference as well at this point. However, I feel like this is a very organic one if you have it assigned to the right side. Neutral camps. I would say this one is very good. It helps you to track your camps, enemy camps. This one is very important. Like, if you don't have them, it's like you just play without jungle this way. This one is very important to have. Chat part is something that you guys need to decide. What do you need from chat? If you guys are just friendly strangers who never chat, who are never getting toxic when someone is salty with them and someone is flaming them, if you guys are never the one who is starting to flame, you can play with chat enabled. However, I was kinda toxic earlier. I'm still kinda toxic when someone is trying to flame me or to insult me or to try to blame me for something I did alright. Like, I would say it's quite easy to tilt me during the game. It's not the hardest thing to do. So for me, in order to avoid that, I just disable both chats. Like, I don't really care what my enemies type, and I kinda care what my allies type. However, usually that's something that is not related to the game. That's something that is not related to the game outcome. Like, that's usually useless type of criticism, and it doesn't really help me and my allies to win. So I'm just disabling it in order to make myself as useful as possible as a player. Like, I'm just doing my best in order to win the game this way, I believe. Timestamps is kinda a setting that is binded to the point of checking the chat. Like, that's exactly what I told you guys. Like, I just timed enemy support flash, alright, and by timestamps I can see when I did that. So once again, if I mess the timing, I can check the timing by using timestamps. It's kinda a cheat sheet. Like, this way you can check the summoners. Like, earlier you didn't have any timers there. Like, when you were killing Nashor and Drake, you didn't have the timers automatically, and you needed to type the timers of Dragon and Baron. That was long ago. I think that was like season 2 or season 3. But yeah, support had to time Dragon timers, Baron timers, summoners. The game was much more tryhard than it is now. Combat text, like this one, it's kind of helpful. Like, I wouldn't say this one is something that overloads your interface. Like, it just shows how much damage you just got, how much gold you got for something, if your quest is completed, like pretty much everything that you have that you can see described there. But I still don't think you need mana or experience, because some champions just spam their spells. Like, let's say you're playing Rice or Hecarim or Evelyn, you're gonna use your mana a lot, and this will kinda overload your screen, like overload the amount of information you're receiving from the game. On top of that, you don't really need experience, because you're getting experience from anything. You're getting experience from killing minions, you're getting experience from staying next to minions, you're getting experience from Zillion's passive, you're getting experience from killing champions as well, like Drakes, Barons. Like, this will just give you nothing about the information, because you still can see your experience here at this purple line when it fills. So I don't think that's needed at all. Speaking of the game setting, this section is probably the most important one among all of those. Firstly, move camera on revive. This one is very helpful if you are not focused enough, and when you are respawning, you need to move immediately, you need to start doing something instead of just staying. A move camera on revive helps you to recognize when you are respawning. This is a very helpful setting, I must say. Camera lock mode, pre-side offset, fixed offset, semi-locked. In this scenario, I'm just running per side offset, simply because I'm moving camera a lot. Like, whenever I'm playing, I'm always trying to think globally. So I don't want to have my camera any locked at all. Gameplay part. This is the one that I suggest you to enable, like, regardless of who you play and which mode you play. This one is a very helpful one. So what's the difference between having auto attack and disabling auto attack? You're moving out of the bush, you're staying next to the enemies, and by disabling auto attack, you won't auto attack them. But here, if you enable it, you will start auto attacking the closest target. What's attack move on cursor? Simply, this way, you will auto attack the closest target to your cursor, like this way. So as you can see, I'm walking closer to the other targets, and the closest target changes. That's why I'm starting to focus the other target. I must say, this is very important for ADC and pretty much whoever kites. There are many champions who can kite, like Senna support, Kindred in jungle, Graves in jungle. There are many champions who can use this one. The last one I want to pay your attention to, guys, is treat target champion only as a toggle. This one is a very helpful setting when you are playing diving champions like Elise, like Renekton, Aurelia, Jax, like basically any champion that dives a lot, or maybe that fits your playstyle. So that's binded with the hotkey of targeting champions only, that is at the bottom of leveling up spells. As you can see, target champion only. You're toggling it with this button, and afterwards, if you don't want to always hold it, you can toggle it. However, I'm not the biggest fan of toggling it because this can be quite toxic to your playing experience, so I would say just hold the button if you need it, don't toggle it. For now that's all guys, hope you enjoyed the video and it was helpful for you. If so, like it and drop the comment below what topic you would love to see covered by me in the next video. See you!